Have you ladies ever been approached by a man only for him to proceed to bully you out of your drawers or out of your phone number? Has a man ever come around you and has constantly nitpicked your appearance while simultaneously complimenting you at the same time? Congratulations, you've been negged. That's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about why some toxic men use negging to flirt with women and as a means to get laid, and why it will never work in their favor with women who stand on business, who are beautiful, and who know their worth and value. It'll never work on us. So I want to talk about an experience I just had while I was attending a baby shower this past weekend. I traveled, and that's why I was kind of MIA for a few days. But while I was on my trip, I was sitting next to a friend of the couple who's having a baby, and the friend brought her boyfriend, who she just recently had a child with. And they were sitting there with their baby, and instead of him being concerned about his child and his woman, he decided to insert himself in a conversation I was having with someone next to me about where I'm from. And the boyfriend who inserted himself happens to be from where I'm from as well. And I mentioned a certain neighborhood where I'm from and my thoughts on it. And it wasn't anything like harmful or mean or anything. But of course, he heard me say his neighborhood and it was up from there. He wasn't trying to hear anything. It was up. So he decided to hop into our conversation and say something hurtful about my neighborhood where I'm from. And I immediately knew what was going down, and I immediately knew that he was trying to get combative with me and try to get my attention in some way. And so he saw that as an outlet to kind of act like he was outraged. So you know that performative outrage bullshit that people do, or they just want to be mad about something to get your attention. That's exactly what he was doing. And then he started to insult me and my neighborhood in this like joking, funny way. First of all, wasn't talking to you. Right? And he completely derailed the conversation by trying to throw me and where I'm from under the bus. And what I realized as the day continued and as the baby shower was commencing, he would constantly try to bring up things about where I'm from and how it's not that good and how it's ghetto and how it's trash, and tried to basically come for my neck. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, you're sitting here with your woman and your 5-month-old son. Why are you still talking about me and where I'm from? Why are you still sitting here trying to throw low blows and jabs at me in playful ways to get my attention? We had already gone off of the subject, but he continued to try to speak on my neighborhood and where I'm from in negative ways. And he was doing it in a way where it was negative, but it was playful at the same time. And I quickly realized that he's trying to neg me. And you would think that a man that is in a relationship with a child would not be trying to neg another woman right in front of that woman. But he did. And this is what men do. They love negging women who they are intimidated by or who they low-key might have some type of attraction for, but, you know, maybe don't want to admit it, or it's inappropriate to have that attraction for that woman. So because they're uncomfortable and don't know how to process their emotions, they're going to neg you in the process. And, you know, I was thinking to myself, if I was his woman, I would have pinched him under the table and been like, shut the fuck up. Why are you continuing to insult her and her neighborhood and where she comes from in this playful, flirtatious way? And it was very odd to me, but then I realized that, you know, when you're a beautiful woman, that's something you have to deal with from single men, married men, men in relationships with children, okay? But you don't have to put up with it, ladies. And one of the ways that I combated this was I literally called him out and I was like, why are you still talking to me? I was like, I'm bored. Why are we talking about this? And the guys at the table started laughing and chuckling because I basically had to hurt his feelings by telling him I was bored of his rhetoric and his conversation for him to be quiet, for him to shut up. So naturally, after that happened, I kind of got curious about negging and the origins of it, and I was shocked to find out that it was something that derived from a group of men who subscribe to pickup culture and who are basically pickup artists. And ultimately, the goal of negging is to make a woman feel less about herself so that you have a better chance of sleeping with her. And so naturally, I went online and started doing some digging, and I came across a Reddit thread, and this woman wrote, "Why do men neg women? I'm grateful to be older, more self-aware and confident, but when I was younger, it for sure worked. I had to tell a guy at the bar last night to stop speaking to me after making a bunch of weird comments about how I was dressed and choice of makeup. It was weird. Like, if you want my number, don't try to bully me. But why do men do that? Attempt to plant seeds of doubt? Obviously, it can go both ways, but I'd really like some insight." And so then we got into the thread, and there were some really interesting comments that some people left. Someone said, "Because it's been spouted as some kind of psychological hack. aka manipulation, to make a woman compete for his attention and validation. Same as the silly ignoring games. It does work, but with the caveat that it works on people with unhealed insecurities, abandoned issues, and a need for validation and various unaddressed internal issues. The game player is seeking the ego high of being wanted and chased after, while the playee is seeking the ego band-aid of being picked and avoiding rejection. A confident person won't play into that shit. And when I say snaps, tens across the board, okay? This person ate down with this comment. And I just want to add to this point, there was also a guy who attended the baby shower who was sitting at the table I was at, who decided to go up to everyone and shake their hand and say hello, but ignore me. And to give you guys context, I was familiar with this person. I met him one time, and it was at the couple's wedding. So the couple who was celebrating their baby shower, I had also attended their wedding, and I was the bridesmaid, and he was a groomsman. So I had met him one time before. He knows me, he knows my face, but he just made it so obvious that he was attracted to me and threatened by me, because he chose to avoid saying hello to me. And he literally went around to the table and shook everyone's hand, said hi to everyone, but ignored me. But guess where he ended up sitting toward the end of the night? He found his way at my table and tried to sit next to me. Because why? Because most likely he was attracted to me and was trying to make it clear to me that he wasn't. Even though it was very obvious to me when you decided to ignore me that I was that important, that I was that special. So to this person in this comment's point, I definitely agree that a lot of men play silly ignoring games for attention and validation. It is a silent form of negging, and it is a manipulation tactic to get you to chase them and for you to try to ease the pain of being rejected or being perceived as less than because this person chose to ignore you and not say hello to you, but say hello to everyone else. So I just thought that that was so profound, and I just thought it was so crazy that two different types of negging happened to me in one experience over this past weekend. And when it was happening, I just immediately thought of you ladies. I immediately was like, I'm making a video about this because this is just a prime example of what we go through as exoticals, as beautiful women, as women who are confident in themselves. People still try us. And to this person's point, this person who's playing this game with you when they're negging you is seeking the ego high of being wanted and chased after. So if you can hurt someone's ego by not giving into them, like when the guy said hello to everyone else and ignored me, I literally didn't even blink twice. I kind of expected it, and I kind of leaned back in my chair and kept doing what I was doing. I was not fazed at all. I'm not the where's my hug at type of bitch, so he fell back and then found his way in my space, trying to get my attention, trying to make jokes and be funny around me before the night was over. And that just proves that when you aren't feeding into their games, and when you don't have unhealed insecurities and abandonment issues, people can't use those types of games on you. It doesn't work. And so I always find it funny when people do try these tactics on me still. And I kind of look at it as a game, They're looking at it as a game of trying to get my attention and validation. And I'm looking at it as I'm about to show you why you can't do that on me, because I'm not the type of bitch you can run that game on. I'm healed, I've worked on myself, and I'm very aware and conscious of the types of games that people play, especially men. And I'm hip. Like, you can't trick me. You know what I'm saying? You can't swindle the swindler. So it was just a funny experience. And I love having those types of experiences because it's a way for me to sharpen that skill within myself. Coming from someone who used to be a people pleaser, who used to fall into the trap of negging, I can now play games with people who do these types of things. And it always works in my favor because I never come out of my power. I never shift or get uncomfortable. And they always end up showing me and proving to me that they are the ones that are actually uncomfortable, threatened, insecure, and pressed. Someone also commented, why did it work when you were younger? Guys do it because they themselves are insecure, and it works with insecure women. Water seeks its own level. Insecure girls want to be validated and want to work for it. Insecure guys exploit this to fill whatever void they are not dealing with. And so once you ladies learn this, that a lot of the games that you have to deal with when you're dating or when you're just out in public spaces and you're in social settings and you're around men and, they notice that you're attractive, they notice you're beautiful, they might think you're out of their league, or they just want to play games with you just to play games, just because it's fun for them. A lot of them are insecure, and they're seeking someone who's on their level of insecurity. And so you might be confused because you might meet a guy who is really pompous, really arrogant, really full of himself, and it comes off as confidence, right? Wrong. He's not confident. He's actually very insecure, he has a low self-esteem, and he has low self-concept and low self-confidence. And he's seeking someone who is also insecure. So what he does is he puts on this act that he's this macho guy with tons of bravado, tons of charisma. Like, he tries to come off as the most confident guy ever, and he'll do things like negging you and ignoring you to see if you're going to succumb to his will, to see if you're going to respond in an insecure way, because then he knows, okay, she's feeding into my insecure game. We're probably on the same level. That's why this person who commented says, water seeks its own level. He's seeking someone on that level with him. Then finally, this woman commented, I mean, it works on some women, and that's probably why some men continue to do it. I've had a few guys try to do this with me in recent years. One said he didn't know if he wanted to talk to me anymore or not. I told him okay, that I would make it easier for him, and good luck with finding someone. Then after I took a break, he tried to match with me again. So I'm guessing this woman was on like one of those dating sites or dating apps. Then she says, I think the only way to get rid of this behavior is for women to just learn to ignore it. It won't stop if you don't stop it. And that's what we need to take away from this conversation. Ignore these men right back. Neg them right back. Give them what they give you. Be a mirror. Men hate mirrors. Toxic men hate mirrors. They hate you showing them what they are because they can't get away with their nasty, vindictive plots and schemes and plans to destroy your confidence and self-esteem to get laid. The only way to combat that is to give them what they're giving you, and to just ultimately ignore them and give them the other cheek. Because when you don't feed into their tactics, they flock to you. Just like my example from this weekend, when I didn't give in to him ignoring me and shaking everyone's hand and saying what's up to everyone else, he came and found himself right next to me, making jokes and bumping his arm on my shoulder, trying to make me laugh and stuff. I wasn't even paying him any mind. I'm in fact very disgusted by him, but guess what? He knew that deep down, and so his tactic was, I'm going to act like she's invisible so that she can make me feel more visible. So ladies, I'd love to hear your thoughts on negging. Have you experienced this in the workplace, dating, social settings, friend groups? I'd love to hear your experiences down below in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box below so you can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day, ladies.